What's up? Welcome to Ahmed's Voice. My name is Ahmed. Thank you for joining us for another episode. In this episode, we'll be talking about a visual piece of art entitled The Gulfstream by American artist Winslow Homer from 1899. It is a beautiful piece of art that has inspired me over the years, and I just wanted to talk about it, give you some background on it, some of the original themes, maybe from Homer's words, and also give you my interpretation and what I see in this painting. Again, this is a visual piece of art, so if you are listening to this podcast, you might appreciate it more if you check out the video version of this podcast, which you can find at the original posting here at ahmedsvoice.substack.com, or you can head on over to my YouTube page if you're not there yet at Ahmed's Voice. But hey, if you're listening, I will do my best to give you the description of the painting and what we read. And if you want to listen to it and that's your jam, that's cool. But I do think you would probably appreciate it more if you're actually laying your eyes on the visual of this piece of work. Again, this piece of work is called the Gulfstream. Let's go ahead and get into it, give it a background. Two main pieces of documentation I'll be using today. One is from the Metropolitan Museum of New York, where this was on exhibit. Also, we'll be looking at the wiki page behind this painting as well. Let's go ahead and get into the artwork details from the Met. Titled The Gulfstream, artist Winslow Homer, American, Boston, Massachusetts, 1836 to 1910, from Prouts Neck, Maine. The original production of this work was 1899 and it was reworked by 1906. The medium, oil on canvas. And let's go ahead and get into the description of this piece of work from the Met. In Homer's epic saga set along the Gulfstream, a black man faces his possible demise on the deck of a distressed boat while threatened by sharks and a waterspout. This painting is the culminating expression of various deeply personal and universal themes that Homer explored across his career, particularly the conflict between humans and the natural environment. Completed at the dawn of the 20th century and during what historians have called the nadir of race relations in the United States, the Gulfstream is also rich with geopolitical implications. Homer acknowledged the expanded imperial ambitions of the United States beyond North America, with the addition of key elements splayed across the ship's deck are stalks of sugarcane, the Caribbean commodity central to the economy of empire and directly linked to the swift ocean current of the title, which enabled its trade, and the devastating history of transatlantic slavery. Interweaves the complicated narratives in a painting that confronts the human struggle personified by a stoic survivor against the relentless power of nature. Great description as we're looking at this piece of art, the Gulfstream. Yeah, we have this very small boat, all the masts broken, the one of these sails strewn over the side of the boat. Again, we do see sugarcane on the deck of the boat in the midst of a tumultuous sea, surrounded by what it looks like just ravenous sharks. Also looks like there's blood in the water. Off in the distance, there is a clipper ship. Don't know if that ship would be a slave ship or any other type of ship. If it got closer to help him, would it actually be help? Would he end back up in servitude or in chains? Also off in the distance is a waterspout and just a tumultuous scene of clouds. But this black man, nothing but pants, no shoes, no shirt, seems to be laying on the deck of the boat, willing to accept his fate and to accept whatever comes next. He looks like he is ready to handle it, as he has no choice but to handle it, and he's going to do so with dignity. Before I get into some more, let's go ahead and get some more background on this painting. We're visiting the wiki page here. Again, these notes are on the original show description page at Substack. They'll be here on the YouTube page. Homer crossed the Gulf Stream numerous times. His first trip to the Caribbean in 1885 seems to have inspired several related works dated from the same year, including a pencil drawing of a demasted boat, a large watercolor, The Derelict, and a larger watercolor of a forward part of a boat, Study for the Gulfstream. A later watercolor study was the Gulfstream of 1889, in which the disabled boat now includes a sailor and a flailing shark. Additionally, there are other related watercolors. The Shark and the Shark Fishing of 1885 was later appropriated for the Gulfstream of 1889, and a watercolor of 1899 entitled After the Hurricane, also known as After the Hurricane, Bahamas, in which a figure lies unconscious beside his beach boat with the waves in the sky, suggesting the aftermath of a storm, represents the finale of the watercolor narrative of man against nature. Another possible inspiration for the series of watercolors and the Gulfstream itself was McCabe's Curse, a Bohemian tale about a British Captain McCabe who in 1814 was robbed by thieves, hired a small boat in hopes of reaching a nearby island, but was caught in a storm and later died in Nassau of yellow fever. Homer saved an account of the story and pasted it to his travel guide. A visit to Nassau and Florida between 1898 and February 1899 immediately preceded the final painting. Homer began work on the painting by September 1899, at which time he wrote, "I painted in watercolors 3 months last winter at Nassau and have now just commenced arranging a picture from some of the studies." Chronologically, the first of a series of major works painted by Homer in the last decade of his life. The Gulfstream was painted in the penultimate year of the century, the year after the death of his father, and has been seen as revealing in his sense of abandonment and vulnerability. Sorry for the choppy reading there, but that gives you a little bit more background on the painting. Again, a beautiful, stunning piece of work of a man in peril, but yet seems to be facing it with a lot of dignity. Let's get into a little bit of the exhibition and reaction to the painting. In 1900, Homer sent the Gulfstream to Philadelphia to be exhibited at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. After it was returned later that year, he wrote, "I've painted on the picture since it was in Philadelphia and improved it very much. More of the deep sea water than before." In fact, the comparison with an early photograph of the painting shows that Homer not only reworked the ocean, but changed the starboard gunwale by breaking it, added the sail and the red dash of color near the waterline, and made the boat's name Anna, Key West, clearly legible, and painted it in the ship in the upper left horizon, possibly to mitigate the sense of desolation in the work. He then showed the painting at the Carnegie Institute in Pittsburgh and asked $4,000 for it. In 1906, the Gulfstream was exhibited at the National Academy of Design, and all the members of the Academy's jury petitioned the Metropolitan Museum of Art to purchase the painting. Newspaper reviews of the work were mixed. It was seen as more melodramatic than Homer's usual work. A reviewer in Philadelphia noted that viewers had laughed at the painting, which he referred to as smiling sharks, describing the scene as a naked Negro lying on a boat while a school of sharks were waltzing around him in the most ludicrous manner. Another contemporary critic wrote that the Gulfstream displays a certain diffusion of interest of seldom seen in the canvases of Homer's best manner. The museum bought the painting the same year. Yeah, so I mean, as always, right? Like sometimes great art is panned when it actually drops. It's not really appreciated until later by most, right? Let's get into some of the interpretation. I really want to focus on what Homer said, and I'm going to tell you kind of what this painting means to me. Homer's intentions for the Gulfstream are opaque. The painting has been described as a particularly enigmatic and tantalizing episode, a marine puzzle that floats forever in the region of unsolved mysteries. Bryson Burroughs, a one-time curator of the Metropolitan Museum, noted that it assumes the proportion of a great allegory if one chooses. Its drama is of a romantic and heroic vein. The man stoically resigned to fate, surrounded by anecdotal detail reminiscent of Homer's early illustrative works. Let's hear what Homer actually said about it. When a viewer requested an explanation for the narrative, Homer fairly bristled in response. I regret very much that I have painted a picture that requires any description. I have crossed the Gulfstream 10 times, and I should know something about it. The boat and sharks are outside matters of very little consequence. They have been blown out to sea by a hurricane. You can tell these ladies that the unfortunate Negro who now is so dazed and parboiled will be rescued and returned to his friends and home, and ever after lived happily. So there you have Homer's description. And thing about it that I want to say about his description that I love so much, right, is that as much consternation there was about the painting, he's just like, hey, this is all circumstance. Everything in the picture has just been blown out to sea. Like, he added the ship in the distance so that there would be less desolation in the picture. His thing about this painting is that, again, this is time and circumstance that's happening here. This is not anything that's extremely tragic. It's not anything that he seems out of the ordinary of time and circumstance and chance. And that his interpretation of that, this man made it home safely. And to go along with that, I want to talk about personally what I see in this painting and why I'm so drawn to it. There's a scene from the Coen Brothers movie, No Country for Old Men, where Javier Bardem, who's playing the assassin Anton Chigurh, is talking to, I can't remember the character's name. I think it's Carson, played by Woody Harrelson. And it's at this scene where Woody is about to meet his death at the hands of Anton, right? And Anton says to him, while Carson is trying to talk him out of killing him, Anton says, you should admit your situation. There's more dignity to it.
You don't know to a certainty. 20 minutes, it could be here.
I do know to a certainty. And you know what's going to happen now, Carson. You should admit your situation. There will be more dignity in it.
You go to hell.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And what I see here in the Gulfstream is that kind of situation. And I feel like it's something that we're missing today. When I'm looking online, I see a lot of fear, a lot of anger, and a lot of fear. It's almost as if men forgot how to face the hard times, how to face their enemies, how to face themselves, how to have dignity in facing their mistakes, and how to have dignity in facing the unknown that confronts them. It seems like everybody's crying. Everyone's looking for a way out. Everyone's looking for somebody to blame. Nobody wants to reach inside and pull in their inner strength, even if it looks like it's the no-win situation, right? The Kobayashi Maru from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, right?
May I ask you a question?
What's on your mind, Lieutenant?
The Kobayashi Maru, sir.
Are you asking me if we're playing out that scenario now?
On the test, sir. Will you tell me what you did? I would really like to know.
Lieutenant, you are looking at the only Starfleet cadet who ever beat the no-win scenario.
How?
I reprogrammed the simulation so it was possible to rescue the ship.
What?
You cheated. I changed the conditions of the test. Got a commendation for original thinking. I don't like to lose.
Then you never faced that situation. Faced death.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
The no-win situation. And that's what I find inspiring about the Gulfstream. There's so much going on here, but the interpretation of what is going on here, anything could be happening here. We're just looking at a snapshot in time. We're looking at a man who's in a perilous situation. This situation could be less perilous than the situation he came from. He could be on the verge of a great victory. He could be on the verge of death. It's all possible. But what's happening right now, wherever he came from and wherever he's going, looking at this man on his boat, he's definitely in the moment. He seems to have made peace with where he's at and understanding that, hey, this is where I am. I don't have much control of the situation, but I do have control over me. I do have control over my mind. I do have control over my heart. And as long as I got that, then I can face whatever is coming. I can face these sharks in the water. I can face these waves. I can face this water spout that's coming. I can face this boat off in the distance, whoever's on it. There's another scene from No Country for Old Men where Anton Chigurh is talking about this boat. And it kind of takes me back to Winslow Homer's description of it himself. And in this scene in No Country for Old Men, Anton Chigurh is talking about this coin. He's always flipping this coin. It decides the fate, or he likes to pretend that it decides the fate of those who he could potentially kill. The coin toss, right? He tells one man who actually survives the coin toss to not just put the coin in his pocket, because it's a very special coin, even though it would just be another coin in his pocket.
What? All right. Heads then. Well done. Don't put it in your pocket, sir. Don't put it in your pocket and check like a quarter. Where you want me to put it? Anywhere not in your pocket. Or it'll be mixed in with the others and become just a coin. Which it is.
The duality, right? He tells a woman in another scene, and she says, you're just going about your own way. And he says, I got here the same way the coin got here. The coin traveled through life, and just through the physical traveling, it ended up in these situations, and it ended up here in this situation that life weighs in the balance for somebody, but it's just a coin traveling from pocket to slot to cash register to street to gutter to another kid's pocket to a piggy bank. It's just a coin traveling, but it ends up in these situations that are precious to those who it comes in contact with. And again, I just want to go back and read with that in mind what Homer says again, or Winslow Homer says again. I regret very much that I have painted a picture that requires any description. I have crossed the Gulfstream 10 times, and I should know something about it. The boat and sharks are outside matters of very little consequence. They have been blown out to sea by a hurricane. You can tell the ladies that the unfortunate Negro, who is now so dazed and parboiled, will be rescued and returned to his friends at home, and ever after live happily. The coin just travels. There might be a situation it gets to that's important, but the coin is just traveling. And as Winslow said, that the shark and the boat were just blown out to sea in a tumultuous strait in the Gulfstream. No matter how the man got there, it's his reaction to hold himself in that situation. It is his responsibility to hold his head high and to have control of himself and to have the wherewithal to know whether good or bad, he's here. He got here somehow, but he has to hold his heart. He has to hold his head up high. And he has to acknowledge that he doesn't have control of the situation, but he does have control of himself. And I think, again, that's what we're missing today. We're missing having control of ourselves. We're missing being able to deal with the fate of life that lies before us, to deal with the fate and responsibility for the actions of our past, and even whatever it is, that we can move forward into the next day and become a better person. The process is now, one step at a time, right? So while this man is on this boat and the sharks are in the water and the mast is broken and the water spots off in the distance and there's another ship over there, what can he really do about it now but be prepared for whatever the next step is? And the only way he can be prepared for the next step is to hold his head and his heart steady. Thank you for joining me for this episode. We have been talking about the Gulfstream by Winslow Homer. Please come back and join me for other podcasts and other posts. Again, at my Substack, ahmedsvoice.substack.com. You can follow me at my YouTube page at Ahmed's Voice. You can also find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, at Ahmed's Voice. Thank you for joining me. And go ahead, please, I'd appreciate it. Give this a like. Let me know what you think about this commentary. And please share this post with your friends and colleagues. I appreciate you. I'm Ahmed. This is Ahmed's Voice, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.